function. Hello, everyone. My name is Fred Donovan. I am a researcher and a professor at a university in Nebraska, in Mountain. And show of hands, being a teacher, I always like to ask questions, so I might do that. How many people have used Raspberry Pi? As I suspected. Excellent. So as you know, small form factors, well, they're pretty awesome. You know, of course, Apple came out with their neat little computers that, you know, about that big, but ultra small form factors like Raspberry Pi are, well, they're extremely useful. Now, of course, you can make some fun things for your kids. You can put neat little games on them and put Minecraft, and they can go to town with their friends and log them into their network and just have a lot of fun with it, which I do too. Not for me, for my kids, by the way. But there's so much more that you can do with Raspberry Pi implementation, and that's what I'm here to talk about today. And of course, you know, there's not just Raspberry Pi, right? There's Beagle boards. China came out with a new one. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it. I wouldn't be able to pronounce the name of it, but it's about half the price of what a Raspberry Pi is, and it's a lot faster, greater processing speed. But there are things that you can do with processing speed that we've done in our implementations of HBox and QBox. So the HBox is, well, H stands for hacking, of course. And so I know that somebody had come out with a Metasploit framework they put on a Raspberry Pi box, and that's great. And there's so many other tools that you can put on there as well. And so, so I did that. Let's talk about. Oh, this is me, professor. For 14 years, I was what I call an executive consultant, which really is essentially just an independent consultant, but that looks pretty good, right? And I had a company called Attack Logic, and essentially we worked with both public and private organizations, so both corporations and governments in the United States. And I've been in research for a long time. I spent 3 years at a university, it's been 10 years now, doing some research on InfoSec and back in the early days of hacking, and that was a lot of fun, and it's really grown since. And I don't hide that I enjoy defense, but I prefer offense. So I like to hack, all right? And if I had my way, I'd probably tell a lot of people to hack back, but you know, don't take my word on that. That's probably not always a good idea. There's implications to that. So there it is. I think we all know what it is. Okay, that's the end of my talk. No. Raspberry Pi, we've all had it. There's a lot of great things on it. I mean, you put your processing power in this little tiny box. And essentially, does anybody know this song? Anybody know how to sing that song? Yeah, I see a few of you do. Meine Großmutter ist von Deutschland und sie singen das zu mich. Aber wenn eine kleine, right? Ja, okay. Kein Schwein. So challenges. So yes, a kid can do it, but there's so much more to it, right? So it's growing in its ability. And there are so many more things that you can do with Raspberry Pi or other things like that. So it's no longer a lab curiosity. And really, the simplicity of putting something like Minecraft or something should be out the door. All those server racks that we have, the MC racks with the servers and stuff, I mean, I can envision it, and I bet you can too. Eventually, all that stuff's going to be gone. There's no reason to do that. All of the power that it takes to run those, the heat that's put out, we don't necessarily have to have that anymore. So what you get now is you minimize CPU cycles, and you can do some business implementations with Raspberry Pi rather than just fun little games. But frankly, that takes an engineer. I mean, that takes considerable skills and perhaps a set of engineers. And I have students, so that's okay. But I think there's a lot of brilliant engineers out here that I already know, and I bet a lot of you others are as well. So here's some of the things that we did. As you know, Raspberry Pi and the other ultra small form factors are using a flash drive. And so if you partition a file, if you have the ability to partition a file, you can partition RAM in there, speed up the out-of-the-box design, and there's a way that you can convert just a GPU to a RISC CPU. It's not. It makes it much more quick, and certainly when you're doing this for things like Nagios and other tools like I've done it, you really need something like that. So processing power can be increased significantly. The QBox is, well, it's an infrastructure monitoring device. Here's some fun little parts, but I want to point out a couple things. 8 watts full load. If you go back to what I said about servers, the EMC racks and what we have, those put out 500 watts each server. I don't know. They put out a lot of energy. So the money that corporations spend with just having a server plugged in is significant. When you multiply it by months and years and what have you. There's no fan. There's no moving parts. I mean, this is my little box, but essentially it's very cool on the scheme of output. It doesn't get hot much. Obviously, that's what it operates at, and of course you can put Wi-Fi on there as well. So that's just a look at the QBox. So here's what we decided to do. Nagios. Any Nagios users out there? Yeah. Okay. Thought so. All right. So we put Nagios in there, and of course Inconf is in there as well, to the graphical user interface to modify Nagios. Snort, and now is it called Snorty? Because that's what we're doing right now. If you've ever heard of Snorty, essentially what that is a mobile-based application that you can use to monitor your Snort devices, obviously anywhere in the world. And so we're implementing that on the next. What this originally started out was an open source thing. Of course, I'm a fan of OWASP, and I teach all my students about OWASP and the free tools, and we do a lot of fun stuff with it. But it turned into a business. And the reason I put mod security was just, I'm going to throw another software device on there. And obviously these aren't web applications, although I guess you need Apache 2 on Nagios. But, and so I thought, well, since I've got Apache on there, and I didn't modify it so that it wasn't talking to the outside, we'll just put mod security on there and see if that runs, and just put a lot of infrastructure monitoring devices on the QBox. Q is, I don't know how you spell it in Germany, but QUE, that's what I mean by QBox, and that's how that goes. So, significance, very small, extremely low power consumption, open source, you can put whatever tools you want on there. You partition the RAM, you convert to a RISC CPU, and then obviously you can have simultaneous infrastructure or other types of applications on there. So there's some other modifications that we recently made to it. Oh, I've got them up here. I'll show you in a second. Etherway, WOL, right? Type B and C, but we're doing it with that. Type B and C, I think, just uses a password, so we installed SSH with a certificate to make it a little bit more tight than just Type B and C. ClamAV, and of course the Nmap suite. And the reason we added the Nmap suite on there was because like I said, we put Nconf on there, and using the Nmap suite, you get more of a infrastructure look, and then you load that using that Nagios GUI to Nagios, and you get a much better look at your environment. And I already said that. HBox. H, of course, stands for hacking. It says HackerBox. Same things, only we add a Bluetooth capacity to it. It's been pretty successful. We've used it in corporations, and it's, well, like I said, it turned into a business unexpectedly. Here's the tools. I bet that's probably hard to see, but there's your Metasploit, and then there's a whole bunch of other stuff. And I could have kept loading things, and they all work. But these are all the tools that I've put on this device, that we have put on this device, and it's a successful hacking tool in one little box. The reason I like this is because when I was an executive consultant, I used to have to go around to corporations and perform penetration testing. And so what I did was I would enter a corporation. You can just imagine a Fortune 100, Fortune 10, Fortune 20 company. You go in there, they don't allow you to bring your laptop in. What am I going to do? Can I at least add burp to the laptop that you provided me, is something I might say. Like, nope, you can't do that. So what did you hire me for? Well, we hired you to test our systems. Well, if I can't use my own laptop and you aren't allowing me to add anything to your laptop, then this is going to take a real long time because I'm just going to be doing one-off hacks. That's okay. We just want a checkbox for our SAS 70 report. Oh, I see what this is about. Okay, that's fine. Let's do it. Well, instead of having to do that today, this HBox, I can just plug into the laptop, and all the tools that are in there, in their laptop, in fact. And all of the tools that are in there are at my disposal. So I'm not adding anything to their laptop anymore. I'm using everything on this. The only thing I get on their laptop is results. So now we've got a way, using a Raspberry Pi or an ultra small form factor box, to do some fun hacking, which we couldn't do before, instead of doing the one-off hacks like we used to have to do. By the way, in Germany, do you have that same problem when any consultants, when you go in corporations, do you find that they don't allow you to bring in your laptop? I'm not sure because it's the same. Yeah. Gosh, I don't know why they do that. It's very frustrating. Okay, so what I like about the the HBox is it's very good for internal testing. There's regulations. We have them in the USA, and of course you have them here. There's regulations that require you to do both internal and external testing, but when you do external testing, they want you to get a white hat or somebody like that, a corporation like that, to do your testing. And that's fine. What I like about this is it's a great internal testing tool that's not going to cost you the tens of thousands of dollars that, well, or more, that the IBM and HP and the other tools, although I'm sure they're very good, and I've certainly used them, this is a much better cost-effective way. So now you can do your web attacks, now you can do your network attacks, you do Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, you can do everything, and just, what we recently did is we attached it to a Class V network, and we utilize the wireless IP of the laptop and put that in promiscuous mode, and then used our tools to just essentially hook into the wireless capability of the laptop at that corporation and hack away. So there's a couple other things that we're doing. All right, I don't know if you've used Nova for a honeypot, honeybee. Yeah, you have? Good. Man, it's awesome. This thing is great. It's very hard to detect, even by some of the major brands of IDSs that are out there. When you put Nova into a honeypot, it's very stealth. It's great. It hides. I really enjoy that. So another thing to do with a Raspberry Pi is to make a honeypot server using, of course, open source applications. Any mathematicians in here? Okay. Anybody look at that? Maybe any guesses what that might be? Oh, come on. This is a class on Raspberry Pi, so that might be Pi. Very good. Very good. Yeah, this is Pi. That is that's the algorithm that is, well, the formula that is used to find pi to the last digit. And I don't know if you've read some of the stories about people that are, what do you call it, attaching Raspberry Pi to Raspberry Pi to Raspberry Pi, and they're making the, I forget what Beowulf, it's called Beowulf. Essentially, a lot of people have done this, and so what they're making is a supercomputer. And you can get to the point, and I think with my modifications, and then in the next year, this is what I want to do, either by myself or with some students, is then use the Raspberry Pi Beowulf construction and evaluate pi to the farthest digit that has been found. So last year, a professor in the United States got it to the last digit. I couldn't tell you what power that was to. I'm sure it was in the tens of thousands, but you can do some significant processing power by boosting the RAM and by boosting the capacity of just these little Raspberry Pi boxes, and using those modifications that I had. Okay. Hello? Okay. As I told you, I'm a professor, so my intention of coming here today was to show you a couple different tools, well, three actually, tools that you've never seen. I couldn't take those across from the United States, so it's bad to bring certain tools overseas or cross borders with it, so I apologize about that. Now, if you want to guess what those tools are, I will tell you. One is kind of like sounds like a city in Arizona. Any guesses? Any cities in Arizona you know? Yeah, Phoenix Exploit Kit, right? So I figured you guys had never seen it, and since I'm a researcher, I don't know how professors are here, but in the United States, we get to do research from the perspective that, oh, that person's a professor in cybersecurity, we'll allow them to do research on the black hole or on the Phoenix. And I was going to do that, and I thought this would have been a great experience, but I wasn't allowed to bring those across borders. So I am not going to show that. And the other one is a really neat exploit that happens on firewalls, and it's pretty intense, so I just decided not to do that one. But I took a few screenshots just to let you know of some of the things that I've been doing here. So essentially, I don't know if you can see that, but so this is the implementation of the QBox, and what we have here is ARPA NY1, 2, and 3. These are implementations of different QBoxes that I brought along to show you. Now, unfortunately, I'm having power problems over here with the conversion on my boxes, so I couldn't show you that. But I did get one working, and just to basically show you that there are things on there, just to, oh, hold on. So essentially what you've got is a tool with a ton of hacking devices in there. Now, unfortunately, I didn't get everything working as exactly as I would prefer, and I didn't want to show these anyway. I wanted to do the exploit kits. But everything that you're already doing, for your penetration testing can be done with these devices. Now, what I want to do now is open it up for questions a little bit earlier than I had preferred. Again, my apologies for not being able to show you the exploit kits. So, any questions, or I'll ask you a question, you can answer it. So, anybody have any questions? Okay. Has anybody, oh, go ahead, yeah. Yeah, okay, so he want.
My question, did everybody understand the question? Should I go around the mic?
So can you elaborate on the conversion thing about the GPU to a RISC CPU, how to integrate it into the OS stack, or what's going on there?
Okay. Well, so the GPU to RISC CPU implementation was frankly, it was about a 40-hour implementation that it took, okay? And to elaborate on it would be to show you how to do it, and I don't really have the time to do it, but essentially what we wanted to do was take the existing power, utilize, well, for instance, for the Q-Box, our original idea was you don't need to have the HDMI port, but there is a way to wire that capacity back into the processing. So maybe I can give you a visual that way. And if you can do that, then you can utilize the HDMI capacity to boost the processing output of the Raspberry Pi box. So it took a lot of effort, but there are certain modifications that you can do with the existing hardware that's already on there. And so, yeah, it is a hardware hack, yeah. Well, since it's no longer open source, it's not documented to provide. I wish I could. Sorry, thank you. Next one. Has anybody used Raspberry Pi for anything other than games? Is anybody using it in their infrastructures? Oh, good. Tell me an example. Hold on a second. He's going to get you the microphone.
Is it working? Okay. I have installed Kali Linux and doing penetration testing.
Yeah, Kali Linux. That's a great implementation. Yeah. Well, I love Kali Linux.
They have released for Raspberry Pi.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, Kali Linux is great anyway, but yep, very good. Anybody else used an implementation of Raspberry Pi that's unique, maybe not necessarily for your business, but unique?
Playing around and making some stuff like wireless printers go on with the mobiles and so on.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I know that what was our professor's name in the oh gosh, Chris Bolkerman? Yeah, he's in his PhD thesis. He's using it to do some IPTV analytics, and it's quite original. Yes.
Yeah, so we are doing a ticket system with it. So Raspberry Pi and NFC Shield from Adafruit. For example, that's my prototype of what to use Raspberry Pi for. So just hook that up on the network, and you have one pretty cheap reader which you can integrate to your backend and like show if the user is allowed to do go to a conference or something like that.
Okay.
So let's see how that goes.
Yeah, very good. Excellent. Even though the fellow that asked a question about the RISC CPU, even though it's not open source, I can probably share you some more information later. Please get my business card from me. That's an original idea. Anybody else? Martin? You good? Huh?
I have a very quite simple question, but important for me. How is it powered? Can it is it autonomous, or you have to be close to a power supply to make it run?
No.
Just to make sure if we can run ephemeral networks or ephemeral services that will move around with us, this kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, it was made to be portable. So the idea for Nagios was not necessarily portable, but to be able to put it into many different environments. For instance, remote offices and what have you, that people are VPNing through their own PC at home or whatever it is, and there's no monitoring there. And yet, if they're doing corporate work, what we've done, and we have an implementation at the end of this month for 97 Q boxes, is we are going to put those in not only in their home office, but also in the remote offices, so that now their administrators have access to it. Now, the hacking box can be designed, you can put it in a server rack, but, Antonio, you can also plug it right into your laptop via USB. So you don't have to power it through this extension cord like I've got here. Yeah, USB is absolutely enough. And in fact, that was the design framework around it. The HBox was to make sure that it can be portable and you can take it with you. Yeah. Sure, you can use a battery pack just like iPhone, right? Mm-hmm. That's a good question, Antonio. Yeah. How do you adapt it to use power over Ethernet? Haven't done that. How would you do it? Creatively? On the top of my head, it can be done, absolutely. I don't know, because I haven't done it yet. So when I do that, now I'll give you credit for it. Yeah. That's true. You can use an adapter, right? And just use a power over Ethernet adapter. Yeah. It might be a little bit of a modification that you got to do, and since I haven't implemented it, I'm not sure what that would do to the little tiny Raspberry Pi box. It might melt it. Oh, yeah, of course. All right. Sorry. Yeah, come up here and see it if you want. This is the H box. And my in my left hand I have the Q box. In my right hand I have the H box. Yeah, these are the boxes right here. And it's exactly what you would think. There's your little Raspberry Pi. And we've formed a 3D print around it and put it together, and it's been very successful. And please come up here and take a look at it, and I'll leave the lid off this one so you guys can take a look inside. Yeah, absolutely. Any other questions I can help you with or answer, or you can help me with? Okay. Well, I beg your pardon? Well, that is programmatic. So, as in you develop it in there to program it. But actually, there is a tool in Raspberry Pi that allows you to mess with the swap file. So it's not only creatively messing with the swap file. So essentially, with regular PCs, the swap file I think is 2 times, but you can make it greater than that using our implementation. That's a good question. Well, they're still running now, and they've been running for 4 months now, so I'm not really quite sure. But obviously, with this one, it's going to be unplugged very often. With the Qbox, they've been running for months now, so there's not been an issue with it at all. That's a very good question, and we've not run into any issues with it yet. Okay. Well, thank you very much, and I hope next time I can show you Phoenix exploit, kids. Okay.